Second half of the season kicks off tonight as the Gateway Gators play host to the Armstrong Riverhawks here in continued Big East action from Antimarino Stadium. Hi everyone, welcome in to Monroeville, Pennsylvania. On the air tonight, Vince Russo, Nathan Brysinger, alongside our color commentator tonight, and our entire talented crew excited to bring you this conference matchup between the Riverhawks and the Gators. Nathan, you're no stranger to us here at GatewayGatorProductions.com. You were here for the Plum game earlier this season, and that was the first sighting of Mayson Mitchell we got. Certainly, you've seen over the past few weeks, he's taken steps forward. Tell us a little bit about what you saw at Plum and what you're seeing now as he heads into another big conference matchup.
Yeah, Plum, he really didn't come in until about that fourth quarter, replacing Jackson Smith, and he looked shaky a little bit. Couldn't get the Gators back into that one, but he has progressed every single week, and he's got his top target, Shawn Moorefield, out there as well. Very helpful. Some miscommunication errors that second game, but really came along. That Franklin Regional win, had the most passing yards in the WPIAL that week, 315, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, which is a big deal that, you don't turn the ball over. Quite the improvement in just a couple of weeks for a young freshman.
Absolutely. Mitchell, the league leader in passing yards last week, as Nathan just said, and passing the eye test, able to keep his eyes downfield even when the pocket collapses, has had great time with that offensive line starting to gel in front of him. It seems like the Gators offense is primed to build off that momentum tonight against an Armstrong Riverhawks team that has been able to score points throughout the season, but coming off a low-scoring affair, a 17-14 win over Greater Latrobe, in which a 25-yard field goal at the death secured the win for the Riverhawks. They're first in 5A as a member of the Big East, so they have momentum they're looking to build off of as well. You talked about the receiver matchup, and certainly Armstrong has a threat downfield as well. Tell us about what we might see tonight from the receiving corps for these two teams.
Yeah, Quinton Olsen for Armstrong. He's one of the top receivers in the entire WPIAL, entire district. 41 receptions, leads all of the WPIAL, also up there in terms of receiving yards as well. So that's going to be a playmaker for Armstrong. And then you got Shawn Moorefield, as we've talked, came in right away. That first game against Plum, when he returned from a torn Achilles earlier in the 2025 calendar year, he had 161 yards. You're watching that game, you don't even think he's amounted that much, but that's the type of guy he is. You get him the ball. Same thing with Olsen. This is going to be a heck of a receiver matchup between those two.
Last 2 weeks, we've seen barn burners here in the Big East when it comes to the Gators. 4 points, the average margin of victory the last 2 weeks. The Gators scoring over 30 points a contest against Kiski area, 34 points in that win, and another 33 in the win over Franklin Regional. Getting close to kickoff here between the Riverhawks and the Gators. Looking forward to a beautiful night here for football at Antimarino Stadium. And as we turn our attention down to the field, any other notes before we sort of dive into the action tonight?
I think the one big thing that you started to talk about there, just Gateway being able to come out on top of tight games. They didn't do so last year, missing the playoffs last year, going 3-4 in conference. All 3 conference losses, or all 4 came by, 3 of them came by 2 points or less. So that's been the big key moving forward, is winning those tight games for Don Hull and his bunch. And they're 2-0, pretty much in the driver's seat right now in the Big East. Right now they kind of control their destiny. You got a good matchup with Armstrong coming in here after they got their first win since returning to 5A in conference play against Greater Latrobe. Also another tight one there. So we'll see how this one unfolds. And right now, just looking at it from the past couple of weeks, you think this one's probably going to be a tight one as well.
See who comes out on top in a big-time Big East matchup. Gators going to receive the ball first as the teams meet at midfield. You see the Riverhawks there on your left in the white jerseys, blue pants, blue helmets, blue numerals. The Gators in their home gray and black uniforms with gold trim. Should be a good one here tonight. Again, a beautiful night for football. It's been a beautiful end of summer, beginning of fall. Feels like we've had picture-perfect weather just about the whole way through tonight. No difference. 76 and sunny. Not too humid. And we got about another 10 minutes before we see that sun off in the horizon dip below the skyline. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to GatewayGatorProductions.com. Our talented crew led by Adam Gusky, our producer tonight, Lee Schaefer III, camera operators Dale Breakall, Bree Gusky, Lee Schaefer Jr. Third is our producer, as we mentioned. Looking forward to bringing all the action here on GatewayGatorProductions.com. Last year, these two teams met up Route 28, the home of the Riverhawks. Gators jumped out to a 20-0 lead en route to a 48-20 Big East win on the road last season. Elvis Kouknas threw for 377 yards and 5 touchdowns. Shawn Moorefield in this game last year, 12 catches, 181 yards and a touchdown. Going to look to try and replicate that production again after another big game last week on the road at Franklin Regional. And a couple touchdown catches for Casey Carter as well, someone the Gators will look to get involved at that tight end position.
And it's been quite a bit for Armstrong as well in this series since they've won. It's been since 2016. Took a couple-year hiatus between those two teams not sharing conference anymore, not sharing the same classification.
This one going to trail into the end zone for a touchback. Daniel Pearson with a nice kick. He made the game winner last week from 25 yards out to give the Gators the win. Terrence Cole thought about returning that one. Probably wisely let that one dip into the end zone, and the Gators will start at their own 20. So Nathan, you talked about Mayson Mitchell. There he is commanding the huddle, the freshman, going from looking a bit in over his head against Plum a few weeks ago to now leading the WPIAL in passing last week. And see what he's able to do tonight after really quick growth as a young signal caller. He's going to go under center here, something that we don't see the Gators do all too much. First play from scrimmage, they'll send Moorefield in motion, and it's a play action pass. They got a man open across the middle of the field, but that one's a little underthrown. Looking for Tyree Gowder. That one hits the backside. Costa Couknas in coverage.
Gateway trying to do something just a little bit different to start things off there, a little play fake, and try to go down the middle field. Pretty much three guys hitting the go route there on that right side and cannot connect on that first pass. But you'd think, trying to ease Mitchell back into this one as well. I mean, pretty much every game, just try to get him a couple early connections.
Right on cue, they'll get it out into the flats to Moorefield. Moorefield will fall forward. About a 4-yard gain will set up third and medium here for the Gators in their own territory. Take another look here at the connection.
Third down.
And that's the guy you want to keep giving the ball to, Shawn Moorefield. He's just so dangerous after the catch. 18.3 yards per reception. So he's just a guy so dangerous, such a weapon out there in the receiving corps for Gateway.
Moorefield missed the first few games of the season, but has settled in nicely here. Been the go-to target for Mitchell in this Gators offense. They'll send him in motion again here on third and medium. Gators trying to keep this offense on the field. Another play action. They'll set up the screen, and it's Carter. And the Riverhawks able to sniff that one out. Carter doing all he can to try and evade a few would-be tacklers, but there to clean it up at the end was Max Zablowski, the 5'11", 185-pound linebacker. Take another look.
Yeah, Armstrong just an excellent job staying patient, and then you just see all the white jerseys come in, sniff out that screen, as you mentioned. So good stand here from Armstrong early, not letting Mitchell get too comfortable, forcing that early incompletion as well.
Thron Kupek also in on the stop, and now Jackson Smith. Rather a different punter for the Gators. It's the placed kicker, Jackson Michael Andrich. We'd seen Jackson Smith handle the punting duties for much of the season. So Michael Andrich there with a nice boot to ball. That one will settle right around, officials still marching inside the 40, down at about the 37-yard line on the left hash, far side of the field from where we are positioned up here in the booth. That's where Armstrong will take over. Jaydon Oliver missed a couple games last week, his first game back. Oliver, a third-year starter for Armstrong. He's going to hand it off there. Gain of about a yard by the tailback, Couknas, who just made a play in coverage defensively. Gets the call here on 1st and 10, rumbles for about a yard.
Couknas will be a guy they'll feed all night long, but Armstrong, very similar offense to Gateway, where you're going to see a little bit more spread, one tailback, move that ball around, but Couknas in week 1, 33 attempts on the ground for 177 yards, 3 touchdowns, but just last week 10 attempts, so you can see the discrepancy there.
Armstrong taking a page out of Gateway's playbook, setting up the screen. It looked like a lot of green in front. Good blockers. Julian Dancier able to make the stop to bring up 3rd and 1. That's going to be a gain of 9 after it was officially no gain on first down.
Yeah, a little play fake in the backfield, get that misdirection going, and then quickly out to Kaden Lewis. Just a little bit short here from that first down marker.
Dancier, a good job getting off the block, making the stop and forcing 3rd down here. Gators went 3 and out in their first possession, trying to force the Riverhawks to do the same. They'll stay in the gun. 2 sidecar running backs. Now a man in motion for the Riverhawks. It's going to be an option keeper, and that's going nowhere. Into stalwart, that one. Big number 50 for the Gateway Gators. Sina Igbadzi, the 6 foot, 265-pound senior defensive lineman.
Igbadzi and company in there quickly to make that stop. Another great stop. Craig Schultz, also the first guy in there for Gateway, getting a piece of the ball carrier. So a few quick 3 and outs for both of these teams to start this game as they both look to settle in.
Michael Burrows also contributing to that tackle for loss. Punt is off. Oliver let that one go. Quarterback and punter. Decent bounce. Takes a favorable Gateway bounce right at the last minute. Add a couple yards for the Gators, and they'll start this drive at the 22-yard line, right about where they started the last drive, which, as you mentioned, Nathan, a 3 and out, going pass, pass, pass. A couple completions, just not able to get the full way there.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they come out, run first on this drive. You'd think maybe to get that ground game going a little bit with Houston and Julian Dancier, who had a pretty solid game against Plum the last time I was on the call. Got a lot more yardage going.
Right on cue, it's Dancier up over the 30 to the 35-yard line. Needed 10, got about 12. That'll move the chains. A really productive run on first down by Dancier.
Yeah, Dancier, just a great hole opening up here, and a couple of linemen getting up to that second level into the linebackers. Really opened up there for him between that left tackle, the left guard for Dancier.
Kept the feet moving. That second effort enough to get the first down. They'll fake the handoff to him this time, then a nice completion over the middle of the field. Good for about another baker's dozen there, and that one caught by number 19, Wendell Hall, who made a couple nice plays on the last defensive possession to force the 3 and out, this time coming up with a nice reception across the middle of the field.
Yeah, Hall's been an excellent edge rusher. Now getting involved a little bit here on the offense, and not the easiest catch. Had a defender draped a little bit on him.
Again, Dancier, lots of running room. Got the first down before anyone got a hold of him. Falls forward for a few extra yards after that. And the Gators picking up chunk yardage here, Nathan. 3 plays in a row.
Yeah, Gateway really now setting the tone a little bit on the ground, but now it gives you that balance instead of trying to throw, be a little bit too one-dimensional there on that first drive. Now you're opening things up with that run. Dancier running hard downhill, finding the open holes.
See if the Gators go play action here. First down, just inside Armstrong's 40-yard line. Instead, they'll just get it into Moorefield's hands. Moorefield got a block out on the sideline. A flag going to probably bring some of this yardage back, but a really nice cut in open space to get to that sideline and get some yards after the catch for Moorefield.
A really nice play call, too, getting Moorefield motion, pre-snap into the backfield, and then Casey Carter got out there to block. Didn't see exactly who this hold. It's on Carter there, so right on cue again. You see him right off the snap, get out there to that right side. Gets up into that secondary, and there's just a little too long.
That's close.
Yeah, just enough for obviously that flag to come out, but man.
So that'll back the Gators up about 3 yards. Actually, make that 2. Ball was at the 39, now it's the 41. So it'll be 1st and 12 for the Gators. And they'll hand it off to Dancier. And for the first time tonight, the Riverhawks were up to the task for Dancier. They drop him right at the line of scrimmage.
There's Warren Johnson in there on the tackle, the sophomore. 5'7" sophomore, quickly in there. Dancier just a little too slow, trying to get off to that right side of the line.
So this is the first second down of the drive. The Gators opened the drive with 3 big chunk plays, including 2 really productive rushes by Julian Dancier that resulted about 25 yards between the 2 carries. Mitchell, a lot of time there, no options downfield, and so coverage dictates that he just pulls that one down, tries to make something out of nothing. Looks like once again going to be no gain.
Yeah, Mitchell had his sights set on that left side, had a pair of receivers down there, a little pump fake, but good coverage by Quinton Olsen and company downfield. And then the pass rush finally gets home for Armstrong.
I'll tell you what I appreciate from Mitchell there, not forcing the issue on the plus side of the field, pulling it down, fighting here for 3rd down, and what might even be 4-down territory for Don Hall. Wide open. They're not even going to have to think about 4th down because all by himself, it's Tyree Gowder who gets caught up by the turf monster at the end of that one, but not after he gains a big 1st down on 3rd and 12 for the Gators.
Gowder just right across the middle here, line up on that far sideline. Throw misses the ref barely, and then Gowder, trips up on his own, but a big 1st down gain there for Gateway. And again, we talked about Mitchell, just so young, but being a little bit more poised in the pocket. And you mentioned the interception numbers 2 games ago against Kiski, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and then last game erased that, no picks. Has at least protected the ball pretty well so far.
Blitz comes through and pushes Gateway back a considerable amount. Coming through without really any contact was Theron Kupek, the 5'10", 175-pound junior linebacker. You take a look, Mitchell just sort of gave himself up there as there was no getting away from Kupek on that one.
Yeah, Kupek in there quickly. 18 tackles coming into this game, adding to that total, getting his 1st sack of the year as well. And Armstrong really just not bringing a whole lot of pressure, too much, lining up 3 down linemen for the most part, 4 backers.
The Gators will burn their first time out here with 4:06 left in the opening quarter. Ball at the 30-yard line. The line to gain is the 13. Makes it 2nd and 17 for Gateway coming up. Don Hall down there. Recently inducted in the Pennsylvania Scholastic Athletics Hall of Fame. Has been highly successful. One of only 2 programs, the Gateway Gators, who have won multiple titles in 5A since its inception in the mid-2010s. Pine Richland, the only other one, and boy, they might tack a 3rd on this year. That's an incredibly talented Rams team. But we talked about it in pregame, Nathan. The Gators staring at an opportunity tonight to go 3-0 in the Big East Conference. After a shaky start to the year against some really talented non-conference opponents, Gators got to feel good about where this season is headed at this present moment.
Yeah, especially with the way the offense has picked things up, 33.5 points the last 2 games. But you talk about Don Hall and the tenure he's had here. Last year was only his 1st time missing the playoffs. So obviously the standard is to make the postseason. And right now, in a good spot, 2-0, trying to get this drive going, but continues to back itself up.
Gators were picking up yards in droves and found themselves in a 3rd and long just moments ago that they were able to convert thanks to Tyree Gowder being wide open across the middle of the field. Now the Gators in 2nd and a country mile, 23 officially after the 5-yard loss. Now a little trickeration on the reverse and not a whole lot going there. For the 2nd time tonight, we see a play where a little misdirection and getting the ball to Moorefield in the flats, and Armstrong up to the task.
A lot of spinning there from Mitchell. Spun around at least twice, but not sure if that's the ideal play call there. 2nd and 23. I know you're trying to get a couple yards with, some misdirection there, but Armstrong again, real discipline there, staying on point, staying on their assignments, and coming up with the tackle quickly.
Costa Couknas in there again on the stop. amongst others. Now a designed quarterback draw. Mitchell trying to stiff arm. He'll gain about 5 yards, and now decision time for Dunn Hall. Looks like the offense going to stay out on the field. Don't know what the appetite would be to have Michael Andrich try a 47-ish yard field goal from that right hash. Ball officially at about the nose of the 29.
And at this point, obviously, trying to find a way to get that first down, but it more or less field positioning a big point right now. Just trying to get the yardage instead of sending your kicker out there and a potential miss and giving Armstrong this ball right around the 29-yard line.
So the Gators will go with 2 receivers each side. Play action pass to Dan Sear. Open receiver across the middle. It's Gowder again, and he's into the end zone for 6. Mitchell, what a ball. Put it right between 2 defensive backs. Put it right into the hands of Gowder. He does the rest. Rumbles his way. 29 yards for the score.
Don Hall and the offensive staff obviously putting a lot of weight on Mitchell and the offensive shoulders there. 4th and forever, it felt like. And what a ball, as you mentioned, by Mitchell. You know, Gowder had to get through 2 defenders right there in the middle. Comes up with a heck of a grab, too, and not an easy play to make. Had a defender hunting him down, too.
Jackson McElandrich with plenty of time and is able to convert the PAT. So the snap, hold, and kick are good. Gators got a 7 spot on the board thanks to a 29-yard touchdown pass from Mayson Mitchell to Tyree Gowder. Gowder's been one of his favorite targets down around the red zone. Had a touchdown last week as well. Mitchell, hard to overstate how calm and collected the freshman looks. And an incredible ball. Putting that, there are 3 white jerseys in that vicinity, and he puts it right on the gloves of Gowder, who, as you said, Nathan, not the easiest catch in the world to make in traffic. Extends, catches that high, points it above his head, then able to turn and take it the rest of the way from about 10 yards out for the touchdown. And so the Gators strike first.
And for Mitchell as a young guy, it helps when you have receivers that he does that can go and make some of those plays like Moorefield and Gowder coming down with that one. But yeah, from the last time that I saw Mitchell to now from that Plum game just a few weeks later, I mean, he just totally different. You know, looks a whole lot more poised in the pocket, staying in there. I mean, you can see he had a little happy feet against Plum, but also the Mustangs, a pretty good front 7 to themselves as well. So that was obviously tough for Mitchell to come in that 4th quarter after Jackson Smith had a reasonable day under center. You know, a couple big runs for him, but Smith not even dressed for this one. So obviously defensively, Gateway without their star middle linebacker.
Jackson Smith down on the sideline in street clothes along with Dylan Graham, who's also been emerging as a force for the Gators in the pass rush. So we'll see what that looks like in terms of them generating pressure on Jaydon Oliver, a talented quarterback in his own right, a 3rd-year starter for Armstrong. Jackson McElandrich's kick out of the back of the end zone, so a touchback. Ball placed center of the field, 20-yard line for Oliver and company. Armstrong looking for their first points tonight. Going to go deep on this one, and they got a man wide open. Spinning away from one would-be tackler, erases off to the end zone, and catching him inside the 10-yard line. Finally bringing down the receiver is Carlos Diggs, but not before a massive gain by Kaden Lewis.
Just a big breakdown on that far side of the field. Lewis able to, you know, Gateway playing a little bit of zone and safety over the top, unable to pick him up right away.
This is what Lewis does. He came into this contest with 4 receptions, 130 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So keeping those yards per reception incredibly high. He is a game breaker.
It was Julian Densier. That was the late party coming over. Again, Gateway just sitting in that zone defense, and Lewis, I mean, he had room to run after he got past that first zone.
So that was a 74-yard gain. The first play of the drive sets Armstrong up on the left hash at the 6-yard line in a goal-to-go situation. Riverhawks will also use a timeout here in the first quarter. Both teams now with 2 timeouts remaining. See little dashes there to the left of Armstrong and Gateway on our scorebug. Riverhawks trying to keep pace with the Gators, who march down the field and scored the game's first points on the passing touchdown from Mayson to Gowder. Beautiful night here in Western Pennsylvania. I know our camera operators out on the wings certainly appreciating that. Fortuitous skies. You never know what that's going to look like here fall in Western Pennsylvania. If we'll get rain, snow, sleet. Tonight, nothing but sunshine. Only a few clouds in the skies. It's 1st and goal. Oliver going to keep it himself, get back to around the line of scrimmage. Doesn't look like much of a gain there, so it'll be 2nd and goal from the 6.
55 of the Gators,
Louis June over there for Gateway.
Monty Lemon.
Gateway just bringing that whole front 7 over on that design keeper from Oliver. Pretty easy pickings for Gateway to come up with that stop.
Gators defense showing potential blitz here on 2nd and goal. Oliver got her up to the line now, gets the play in from Frank Fabian and his staff on the sidelines. Fabian, the only coach in Armstrong history, looking for win number 2 in conference play, and this one going to get swatted away. Great defensive play by the Gators and letting them know is talented number 11 for Gateway, Tristan Houston.
Yeah, a little switch off the line of scrimmage, and Houston staying with his man. Great pass breakup and turns around at the last second too. Obviously a lot of players get caught there not looking for the ball. Houston, excellent job all the way through.
Gators trying to hold here to force either a 4th down play for this Riverhawks offense or a Daniel Pearson short field goal attempt. Got to get off the field here on 3rd down first. They got a man. That one dropped right through the fingers of the electric playmaker, Kaden Lewis, who opened this drive with the 74-yard reception, but can't make the easy grab there in the flats.
Yeah, break there for Gateway. As Lewis, obviously, as you mentioned, starting off this drive with a heck of a play, and then there just he beats Ian Woods on the coverage, on the man coverage, and it's a tough one. Tough break there for Armstrong.
So this will be
will attempt the field goal.
A short field goal attempt. Call it about 23 yards from the right hash. And movement before that one was snapped. So this will be interesting. Who's it on and how might that influence what decision is made here by both head coaches? Frank Fabian on the far sidelines. Don Hall on the near sideline. And now does Coach Fabian think about bringing the offense back out with this being half the distance to the goal? Doesn't quite look like it. Looks like they're going to settle for the field goal attempt here, which will now be just that much easier for Pearson. Be a 20-yarder now. Snap good, hold good. Kick is up. Had an odd spin on it, but Pearson able to knock it through. A couple Gators dive in there at the last minute. There was a big block last week. Ended up in the hands of Carlos Diggs, who returned it out to Franklin Regional's or Gateway's own 30, 40-yard line. That time, everything goes well for the Riverhawks, and they're on the board.
Not the edge that time. It's the brother, Nazir Diggs, almost coming up with the block, but nonetheless, easy chip shot there for Armstrong. Thought maybe that they would send the offense back out. You saw some of the Riverhawks personnel trying to sneak back out there and maybe force the envelope a little bit there. And you know, it's always a tough decision there. Either you don't come up with the first down, but you still pin Gateway back on their heels. But you take the points here in a 7-3 game.
If you're the Gators, 3 points, a win, candidly,
Absolutely.
After giving up 74 yards in the first play of the drive. A big kudos to that defensive unit being able to hunker down and keep Armstrong out of the end zone. Certainly they caught a break when Kaden Lewis unable to catch a ball in the flats that very likely looked like it would have turned into 6 for the Riverhawks. They'll settle for 3. The Gators continue to lead here as we near the end of the first quarter. This one will be fielded by Terrence Cole. And Cole able to drag a few tacklers up to about the 25-yard line, and that's where the Gators will start this drive.
On the return, stop by
Take another look.
First down, Gators.
Cole just trying to take it right up the gut. Bounces into a couple of his own teammates, so not a whole lot doing there. Gateway offense back out on the field. Both these teams, as we mentioned before, kind of playing a similar offense, and it's been also the receivers that maybe you don't expect too much. Quinton Olsen, we haven't heard his name too much for Armstrong. It's been Kaden Lewis, and then for the Gators, we've talked a lot about Gowder, and Moorefield's had a couple touches but hasn't broke anything big yet. He had the one that came back from the penalty.
Dan Sear gets the carry, turns his back and just tries to push the pile. He'll get back to the line of scrimmage, nothing more.
76, Hutchins.
Tackle made by number 76, Donovan Hutchins, the 5'10", 230-pound defensive lineman for the Riverhawks.
Dan Sear, a couple of nice gainers earlier in this quarter to start the game, but Gateway coming off a game where they had a season low in rushing, only 38 yards last week against Franklin Regional, so trying to turn it up a little bit, find a little bit more balance in this offense, but to their benefit, Mitchell had a heck of a game last week.
Gators will keep it on the ground, and the ball is out. Dan Sear, did he get back on top of it? Neither team signaling yet. This is a huge play here. Riverhawks are signaling, and they do have it. They'll take over at the 30-yard line of the Gators as Dan Sear has that ball stripped away. Let's see if we can see who took that one away. Looks like he just bobbled it.
Yeah, it looked like he bumped into the left tackle there, or left guard, and Bandy. And then things just started to come out, and Couknas able to fall on things. You saw like 4 or 5 Armstrong players jump in there, just trying to do whatever they can to get that ball, and the Riverhawks come up with it. So, you know, obviously that drive that Armstrong just had didn't end up with the touchdown. They get the points, and now you get the ball right back.
And right as the quarter ended as well. So Armstrong will start the second, down 4 points to the Gators, but with great field position as they'll have 1st and 10 at the Gators' 30-yard line after the Julian Dan Sear fumble. And can the Gators keep the Riverhawks out of the end zone again, force either a punt or a field goal attempt from this point on the field? Not exactly sure what Peterson's range is. He's certainly looked very sharp on the kickoffs. Made a 20-yard field goal the last time out. Made a 25-yarder last week to win the game against Latrobe. Here we take another look at that first touchdown in the first quarter to Tyree Gowder. And this year, another look at that fumble by Dan Sear as the ball just sort of grew legs and popped out of the breadbasket there for Dan Sear. A tough break for a back who's really been coming on. And he's talking to Coach Steven Adams down there on the sidelines as this ball tipped away. And my goodness, was that a dangerous ball. And if there were about another second or two on that one, Taiwan Napier was going to pick that one off. Oh, my goodness. Who got a hand on that?
Schultz looks like off the edge here, just on that backside on Oliver. And that ball hung up there for what felt like an eternity, at least for Armstrong. I'm sure it did. Lucky that one didn't get picked off.
Riverhawks will live for another down, 2nd and 10. Nice pitch here, and now off to the races is the halfback Couknas. Costa Couknas at 5'8", 150 pounds. Not the biggest back in 5A, but shows a little speed there on his way to about the 5-yard line.
Felt like it was only a matter of time before Couknas started to get things rolling a little bit. Comes into this game, 452 yards, 5 touchdowns. Nice little option play there with Oliver, and Couknas gets it out to him. Carries a couple defenders with him too. Deep into the red zone now.
So another goal-to-go situation. An identical spot on the field. Certainly they had it at the other end of the field before the quarter break, but 1st and goal at the 6. Last time the Riverhawks had to settle for a field goal. This time looking for 6. They'll get 1 yard there on Couknas' carry on first down.
Very similar to kind of what we saw the last time Armstrong was in this position, a first down run, and now see if they try to go through the air.
Michael Burrows in on the stop for the Gators to limit the damage to just 1 yard. 2nd and goal now. Oliver stays in the gun. He'll take it himself, and he's still moving. As he's down to the 1. Brings up a big 3rd down as Oliver able to drag a few bodies down close to the goal line.
And you wondered what Armstrong was going to go with there. Obviously, the last drive, passing on 2nd down. That one, a very similar look to the pitch play off to Couknas, and you could see Wendell Hall just a little hesitant. Thought maybe that ball would come out, and obviously pulls that defender away. So Oliver able to pick up a couple more yards all the way to the 1.
Now a big play for both of these teams. Got to buckle the chin strap and get ready. 3rd and goal from the 1. Oliver under center. Will he call his own number? He does. Rumbles forward. He's into the end zone. And the Armstrong Riverhawks have their first lead of the night, 9-7, with a chance to make it 10. With the PAT upcoming.
Yeah, Oliver just running right up behind that center and the right guard, punches it in for a pretty easy score there. So you take the points on the field goal, and then you come up with the big turnover. Leads to the touchdown for Armstrong. Now all of a sudden this game flipping on its head early in this first half.
Pearson on to try the extra point.
And just what could have been if Gateway got that tipped play, that little tip drill with Schultz coming in off the edge.
Snap, hold, kick, up, and good. Makes it a 3-point lead for the Riverhawks here early in the 2nd quarter. They cash in on the Julian Dancier fumble. Take that ball a short 30 yards to the end zone, capped off. Jaydon Oliver calling his own number, falling forward, but can't speak enough about the talented back Costa Couknas on that drive. Really setting that up with a big run. Taking that ball about 20 yards, making it a goal-to-go situation, and from there, Oliver finishing it off himself.
Yeah, Couknas just a little too quiet up to that point, and then finally breaks off, gets behind a couple of blocks too, finds that crease in the defense. And last week, Couknas only 10 attempts for 58 yards, but going back to that week 1 matchup against Hampton, a 35-28 win, he ran the ball 33 times for 177 yards and 3 touchdowns. I mean, it seems like that might have to be the case again for Armstrong in this one. Gateway's secondary has played pretty strong so far. Obviously, one breakdown on the Kaden Lewis big game, but a big PBU by Houston in the end zone. And then obviously Lewis drops that pass afterwards. That leads to the first field goal, but we'll see how Gateway's secondary can hold up the rest of the way.
Pearson's kick, gonna go over Terrence Cole's head, out of the end zone, another touchback. Gators will take over at their own 20, looking to make amends after the turnover on the last drive. Drive before that, Gators moved methodically down the field, good mixture of run and pass. It was through the air that they were able to get that touchdown on the board, 29-yard pass. Mayson Mitchell, the freshman quarterback. Now 5 touchdowns passing in his past 2 games. He's able to find Tyree Gowder, who scores for a 2nd consecutive week. And now the Gators will try and recapture that magic here, down 3 at home on homecoming night. Gators cheer squad. Trying to rile up, what is a really great crowd here at Antimarino Stadium tonight. Pass out into the flats. That one's just a good timing route. Good separation by Moorefield. Come back, get that one, and then dances out of bounds right over the line to gain. So that'll move the chains for the Gators on first down.
And we've talked about how much more this offense has been in rhythm for Gateway, and those are the type of plays that are starting to become more common. Just those nice timing plays, quick play action, play fake in the back in the backfield and setting up Moorefield for an easy pitch and catch.
They'll give it to Dan Sear. Lots of room, good cutback. He's out toward that line to gain. It looks like he might have enough for a first down, and he does.
On the carry.
Good confidence boosting run there for Dan Sear, obviously after that fumble. Got to be a little bit more tight with that ball, tuck it in hard, and then, yeah, reverses field, cuts back and finds a nice hole right up the middle for a big gain.
2 plays, 2 first downs, and now the Gators knocking on the door of midfield. They have it at the 41-yard line. Play action. A shot downfield. Oh, they had a man, and that one was a pretty ball, but just a little too much on it. S.J. Moorefield had to step on a couple defenders there.
Really wasn't sure if that ball was going to get there, but right on a line, on a rope from Mitchell, a little play action, then goes pump fake, just freezes the safety enough. And Moorefield had that step eventually there on the backside of the defensive backs.
I'll tell you what, if he can nail this timing and just get that extra little bit of rhythm with his receivers and put that touch on the deep ball, watch out for the Gators. They've got the guys to put points up in a hurry. And Dan Sear having himself quite a night. Outside of that fumble has had ample running room. Gators already with more rushing yards tonight they did all of last week. As Dan Sear able to rumble forward for another first down.
And Houston checking back into the backfield alongside Mitchell. Houston really that top back to start the year, but Dan Sear so far in this game has sort of established himself other than the fumble.
It's going to be encroachment, a neutral zone infraction on the Riverhawks will give the Gators an extra 5 yards. And so the Gators have had to overcome adversity of penalties a couple times tonight. But always nice when your opponent gives you a few extra yards here when you're already clicking. So that'll make it 1st and 5. Gators were on their own 41 a moment ago. Now they're at the Armstrong Riverhawks 40-yard line. They'll hand it off to Houston. Lots of room, and Houston able to dance away from a few would-be tacklers and has stood up after a nice gain. Tackle made by Oliver Jones, the 6'3", 160-pound DB.
A lot of this play fake, keeping the defense back on its heels, especially the linebackers, and Armstrong really just playing with that 3-4 front, so it's allowing Gateway to find those holes and get into that second level.
Handoff again. Houston, a little hesitation move, then finds a hole for a second, loses his helmet at the end of that one. I almost thought that was the ball coming out again.
I thought the same thing.
The Gators avoid disaster. Houston looks to be okay even after losing his lid, although he gains just a yard there on first down.
And you can see a little bit of the difference there between Houston and Dan Sear. Houston a little bit more patient, looks for more of the holes to open up. Dan Sear a little bit more downhill of a runner, long strides, getting ahead. Obviously, a nice cutback, though, just a couple plays ago as well, reading that blocking, getting back into the middle.
So waiting for the scoreboard to update. It does now, so 1st and 10 is now 2nd and 9. Dan Sear open in the flats. Mitchell didn't see him. Now he's going to take off run himself. He gets stood up. Able to gain a few yards there. Tackle made by Couknas, who's able to make a nice stop right around that 30-yard line. So it's going to be 3rd and long here for the Gators.
Yeah, Mitchell just trying to go through his progressions here. And as you mentioned, Dan Sear open after the little play fake, but also downfield if he could keep his eyes downfield. Moorefield did come open at the end, but that was pretty much down the in the end zone, so about a 35-yard pass there would have been a tough one to put up there.
Gators in what would very likely be 4-down territory. This is around where they scored a 29-yard touchdown, and they're trying to go with a long developing play. The goal was a screen there to Carlos Diggs. It's going to be a loss of about 4 yards. And now 4th down and about 14 from the 35-yard line. A decision time for Don Hall. Looks like he's going to keep that offense on the field.
And an interesting design there, too, offensively for Gateway. Had pretty much screens on both sides of the field. Pretty much that entire offensive line split out wide to try to set up some blocks there, and quickly found out by Oliver Jones.
Was 4th and long from around this spot on the field. They hit Tyree Gowder for a touchdown. Mitchell dancing in the pocket. Going to try and call his own number and just get some yards here. Gets back to the 29-yard line, and that's where this drive will end. So some bright spots from the Gators. They continue to run the ball well, but no points on this one as the Riverhawks bend but don't break. And they'll take over up 3 at their own 29.
You can see the difference from this 4th down compared to that touchdown throw. After the little play fake, Mitchell just a little too indecisive. Seemed like he wanted to run, then hold back, and then finally took off there at the end. Maybe if he runs right away, he picks up a little bit more yardage. Probably not getting that 1st down, but at least a little bit more pinning Armstrong back.
So the Riverhawks take over just moments after taking the lead in this one, and now a timeout by Frank Fabian and company on that far sidelines. They want to talk this over just that much more before the drive starts. About halfway through the 2nd quarter. Stick around during halftime. We'll have the homecoming festivities. Find out who your homecoming king and queen are tonight. Great night, great crowd, great weather. So far, a great game. 3 points separate these two teams. They're both coming off of wins the last time out. Gators with a 5-point win on the road over Franklin Regional, where Mayson Mitchell really shined, and then Jaydon Oliver cutting his teeth with a 3-point win at the end of the game over Greater Latrobe in conference play. Oliver had missed the previous 2 games before that. He's into this game, into the season with over 20 passing touchdowns in his career. Now we're going to get this one out into the flats quickly. Not a whole lot going there as the receiver bottled up.
Pass is complete to Kupak.
Kupak going to gain 1 yard on 1st down.
Off the timeout, just trying to get it out quickly for a few yards. Almost there was 2
2nd down.
Gateway edge rushers. Oh, so close to trying to get a hand on that one. Kupak just about a yard.
Michael Burrows, another impressive tackle, having to step up with Jackson Smith not in the lineup at the linebacker position. Another strong option keeper there by Oliver, who was able to freeze Wendell Hall. Looked like he might pitch it. Hall decided to commit to the back. So you see Oliver, a great decision here to just hang on to that one.
Yeah, we saw that down towards the end zone too, where Hall just froze up just a little bit. And a good decision there by Oliver to keep it. Now makes it very manageable here on 3rd down.
Roberson Louis June, the senior defensive lineman for the Gators, making the stop and forcing the 3rd down play here for the Riverhawks, who were trying to build on a touchdown drive earlier this quarter and a 3-point lead. Gators trying to get off the field, put that offense back out there, rolling out, finding a receiver open. A lot of greenery in front and some yards after the catch into Gators territory. That connection is Quinton Olsen. That's the first time we've really called his name tonight, and Olsen is a big-time target for this offense.
Yeah, coming into this game, 41 receptions, leads the WPIAL in that department, at least coming into this one with 517 yards and 6 touchdowns. And just a good play call there for Oliver to roll right there and then wide open. Gateway a little confusion now trying to line up.
Gators get set just in time on this 1st and 10 play. They're going to go deep into double coverage, and that one well overthrown. They were looking downfield for Xavier Williams in coverage there. Closest to it was Makai Burns-Diggs.
This time the corner playing man-on-man, staying with Kaden Lewis there, gets that safety help there as well over the top, where in that 1st quarter, that first play on the field goal drive, breakdown in coverage.
Ian Woods was there step for step. They tried to set up the screen and had the blockers in place and the receiver open. Just unable to hit on that one. A bad throw.
Yeah, I don't know if though he catches that, if he's getting really anywhere at that point with Napier right there unblocked. So that blocking really never got established either for Armstrong.
So after 2 incompletions after the third down pickup, it is third down once again for this Riverhawks offense on the left hash at the 46-yard line. Back to pass. Again, it's Olsen. 2 defenders hit into each other, and that makes it an easy jog to the end zone from 46 yards out. And a touchdown connection from Oliver to Olsen expands the lead for Armstrong.
And there's that very dangerous connection. Saw Olsen get involved just a few plays ago, and then Carlos Diggs, or rather Julian Dancier, the one just trying to jump the ball, and instead of trying to play Olsen there, tries to jump the ball, takes the other defender out of the picture, and it's an easy walk-in touchdown for Olsen.
We talked about Olsen, who's taken such a big step forward, comes into this game with 6 touchdowns, now his 7th. One of the leading receivers in the region. After the PAT is up and good, he helps the Riverhawks go ahead by double digits here in the first half. The Gators reeling a little bit after a strong start, put the first points on the board, but it has been 17 unanswered points for the Riverhawks, who are capable of scoring, averaging 26 points a game offensively. Last week held well under that average, needed 3 at the end to get a 17-14 win, and now they've got that many points with time left to spare here in the second quarter as you take another look at that long touchdown from 46 out.
Yeah, just again, both those defensive backs trying to track that ball, and leads to that collision, but some of this Armstrong offensive success stemming from getting the ground game going a little bit. Oliver, Couknas getting that option game going a little bit, trying to establish some screens as well, and then it's opened up some shots downfield for Armstrong. And then obviously benefiting from that fumble from Dancier as well.
Quinton Olsen. That Olsen name has quite the cachet in that Riverhawks program. He's the 3rd Olsen brother to play for Armstrong. Older brother Kaden is a quarterback at Penn. Had quite the illustrious career behind center for the Riverhawks. And middle brother Ian is a receiver at Furman currently. So good genes in that family, and certainly Olsen keeping that lineage going, having quite the season and the touchdown moments ago. Return now. Nazier Diggs gets it up over the 30-yard line for the Gators, and that's where they'll start as they look for points before halftime here to try and get back into this one, fully acknowledging the Riverhawks will get the ball first in the second half.
Yeah, Nazier Diggs a little bit of a bobble too on that kick, but gets a respectable return, getting it up there to the 30, about 25 yards on the return. Now Mitchell trying to, looked a little shaky in the pocket that last drive, especially on that 4th down. Felt maybe a little pressure that wasn't there. So see how he responds here this drive with the Gators offense.
3 receivers out wide. Play action pass, and that one looked like it might have been tipped at the line. Gowder certainly had a step, and now there's a flag in the backfield.
Second down.
See what the call is here.
Roughing the passer, Armstrong. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
So that'll help the Gators right off the jump, as a roughing the passer penalty will give Gateway 15 yards and a fresh set of downs. Let's see if we can see who the guilty culprit is here on the replay.
Just right up the gut for Armstrong. A little high on that hit to Blocky. Right up the middle.
So again, play action. This time, blitz gets home to the quarterback, and coming up with the sack of the backfield there, number 24, Warren Johnson, 5'7" sophomore.
Second down.
Warren Johnson has lived in the backfield early this year for the Riverhawks. 5 tackles for loss and a sack and a half, and was really interested about that tackle there. Drove Mitchell a little bit into the ground, so was a little curious if something would come out there from the referees right after the previous roughing the passer call too.
Johnson's sack, a loss of 7 for the Gators after the gain 15 on the penalty. They'll go to the air here. Screenplay. Dan Sear gets a chunk of those lost yards on first down back, but it's going to be 3rd and long behind the sticks. Call it a dozen for the Gators after the screen pass.
Yeah, again, just trying to get a couple yards here for the Gators on 2nd and long, but still behind the sticks here on 3rd and 12. It's been about 50-50 for Gateway on long conversions. They've had a couple where they've been successful, obviously the touchdown, and a couple where have fallen incomplete.
They'll go to the air here again on 3rd and long. Receiver open, pass, a dart, but not on target for S.J. Moorefield, who had a step. And so it's going to bring up a punting situation once again for the Gators. Jackson Mikulandrich back out as you take another look at that incompletion on 3rd down.
And Moorefield in the slot, gets that leverage inside. But wonder if Mitchell maybe held on to that ball just a little too much, try to get that low on Moorefield, because there was a few defenders right in that area. Got to be careful with that ball throwing across the middle. That safety, high safety, was standing right there.
Mikulandrich, keeper for the soccer team. An incredibly athletic play there on the high snap. Able to go up and get that one, pulls it down, gets the kickoff. He will pin the Riverhawks back inside their own 20, which is always a win for your punt squad. So it'll be a long field to go for Armstrong, but that hasn't been an issue in this one in the second quarter. 17 unanswered points for Armstrong as they lead this one by 10.
And Armstrong just doing a good job of mixing in pretty much all their playmakers. Going from Couknas to Olsen, Kupek getting involved as well, and then Kaden Lewis has been pretty much the primary target so far this game for Oliver as well.
Olsen finally getting a few targets on that last drive, including a 46-yard touchdown from Oliver. The Rocks will go to the ground here. Productive first down run with Couknas. He'll take it up to about the 22-yard line, so call a gain of about 5 on first down.
Couknas able to power his way through a couple of tackles and finally brought down there by Burrows. Again, Burrows, as you mentioned, filling in there, getting some quality snaps with Jackson Smith out for tonight's game.
Screen pass, Couknas, incomplete. Got the head around, was thinking about getting downfield before he fully secured that one. And so that'll bring up 3rd and medium now for the Riverhawks.
Another play, you got to be careful there. Maybe just a yard forward for that forward pass. Couknas, though, aware to try to jump on that ball pretty quickly in case that one was behind the line of scrimmage.
Third down, 2 minutes, 4 seconds left in the first half of play. Looking across the middle of the field, and it's Olsen again, hanging in there until the last moment. Oliver took the hit and still was able to get rid of that one, had Roberson Louis June right in his grill. Take another look.
Now Oliver, excellent job delivering that ball to Olsen. Olsen right at that first down marker with a couple defenders behind him as well, but just a little bit, comes back just a little bit to make that play, but Oliver, really good ability there to get that ball off and deliver a strike.
First set of downs, quick screen inside, now some yards after the catch, turn what would have been a couple yard gain into about a gain of 8 yards. Receiver on that one is Xavier Williams.
Williams, his 13th reception on the year, and now you're starting to see Armstrong breaking through some tackles, really some tough runs, yards after the catch for the Riverhawks.
Second and short, ball at the 41-yard line. Clock is the enemy, though, and it is rolling. Riverhawks have just one timeout left as they keep this ball on the ground.
Over the middle.
They're going to have to pick this pace up if they want to try and put some points on the board. They do get the ball back here to start the second half, so that urgency maybe, Nathan, not quite as high, but still pretty slow rolling offense here for the Riverhawks. Finally going to take a shot down here, and once again a receiver wide open. And Xavier Williams wisely just gets a few yards after the catch and dips out of bounds to save that final timeout for the Riverhawks.
Now Williams getting involved. Again, Gateway beat on that just zone coverage. No one picks him up on the back end as
Riverhawks first down.
Moorefield back there with the safety help. Just no one in the area. Even Woods sat down in the zone. So now Williams back-to-back receptions.
Takes the ball inside the 20. Still a good bit of time now for the Riverhawks. Although they're going to get bottled up here, and that ball is out. And the Gators looked like they were going to have it for a moment. And oh my goodness, how did they not get on top of that one? The Riverhawks avoid disaster. Take another look at this.
Yeah, that's the one thing I think Armstrong maybe going a little slow, keeping it on the ground, wanted to avoid here. But you just have everyone involved here for Gateway, and ripping off that ball was Hall with that left arm, and then just right over top of a few Gateway defenders, and Riverhawks luckily pounce on it. Kaden Lewis.
So the Gators had the opportunity to take that one away. Fortuitous bounce back into the arms of the Riverhawks, who did use their final timeout. So they cannot stop the clock again here with 31 seconds. Ball at the 26-yard line would be in the range of a 43-yard field goal if they settled for an opportunity here. Certainly they'd like to get a few more yards. Ideally, they'd like to get 26 yards. Put this one into the end zone. Try to go 2 for 1 here at the end of the first half, start of the second half, when they will get the ball to start. Gators received the opening kickoff, went 3 and out. Riverhawks went 3 and out. Gators went the length of the field, scored a touchdown. Since then, it's been all Riverhawks. 17 unanswered points. And this one taken away. And here come the Gators. S.J. Moorefield the other way. He gets it to the 45-yard line. Lady Luck now on the side of the Gators this time. They couldn't fall on the fumble on the last play this time. Tipped ball ends up in the hands of S.J. Moorefield, the electric receiver for the Gators. Now, with 2 timeouts in 20 seconds and a lethal passing attack, Nathan, Gators got a chance to maybe steal some points here before the break.
Yeah, huge couple plays coming up here for the Gators, and not too sure about that play call there from the Riverhawks. Oliver looking to the short side of the field with about 2 to 3 receivers there and just threw it into a bunch of traffic. And Moorefield, heck of a grab though. One-handed too as that thing's bouncing around, and he returns it with some favorable field position right here with 2 timeouts to go.
Mitchell in the gun. Dancier bleeds out of, oh my goodness. Now, you've seen the hook and ladder before in close and personal, but that one, having Moorefield chuck it across the field to Dancier, who was ready for it. It looked like it was drawn up. Dancier just unable to come up with that one.
Not too sure how many more yards Dancier gets after that, too. I think he catches that, and Armstrong has a couple guys right there, but what an attempt there by the Gators. Try to throw some trickeration together.
Now we're going to get a conference. Officials. Looked like there might have been a perceived error in either equipment, which we saw for the Gators, had a couple players yanked out, or substitutions, but Casey Carter able to stay in. And now another trick play. Gators trying to throw the kitchen sink at the Riverhawks here before the half. They're going to call a timeout. We'll see what else they have.
Gateway, 2 seconds and a half. Timeout.
Trying to get a little too cute here, I think, for Gateway. And now you're fortunate enough to come up with the takeaway on the one end, and now you're getting real close to giving the ball right back to Armstrong. And at this point, that play across the middle worked to Moorefield for a couple yards. Not sure why maybe you just don't go back to a similar looking play. Just get the ball out across the middle for a couple more yards and try to maybe get into field goal range. If not, at least set up a little bit more of a better field position to at least chuck one to the end zone if you really want to push one downfield.
Now, trick plays are always sort of the darned if you do, darned if you don't, right? You look like a hero.
Exactly.
If Mitchell catches that and they got someone like Moorefield streaking across the middle of the field, you look like an absolute genius. But when the ball gets bobbled a little bit and you get close to turning it over, not quite so much. Can't say I blame them for digging into the bag of tricks here with the limited time, but your point is spot on, Nathan. You got to mind your P's and Q's here around midfield. Gators will have very likely one more crack at it. And Mitchell able to get away, but he drops the ball. And it looked like an incredibly acrobatic play that might result in a second opportunity to get that ball downfield. Instead, Mitchell falls on the ball, and that's where we will end half number 1. Gators find themselves down 10, and Nathan, it was all Gators in the early going. They score the game's first points, and then 17 unanswered for Armstrong. What does Gateway have to do to stop the bleeding here and get back into this game?
Well, you can't have those breakdowns anymore defensively. We saw Kaden Lewis get a couple by, and obviously the one drive only resulted in a field goal. You get lucky with that, but too many breakdowns in the back end. Quinton Olsen getting open in the back end as well for a touchdown. So the secondary needs to come together, but also the pass rush hasn't necessarily gone home either on Oliver.
And offensively, the Gators have moved the ball throughout the night. Only one touchdown. What's missing to punctuate some of these drives?
I think it goes back to the ground game. We talked about it last week, only 38 yards, a season low. We've seen glimpses of it with Dan Sear, and then he fumbles the ball. Obviously, that took a shot to his confidence, but then you need to bounce back after that. Continue to mix it up a little bit. Mitchell just seems like there, especially at that last drive. Obviously, you're just trying to do whatever you can. Got a little too cute, a little trickeration, but get back to the ground game a little bit, and that'll open up with Moorefield across the middle, opening up those receivers as well.
Well, that'll do it for our first half of coverage. We're going to step aside, but don't go anywhere. We're going to have the bands here and the homecoming festivities. So tune in. We'll lock in and get the cameras over onto the visiting band with Armstrong. For Nathan Breisinger, Vince Russo. We'll be back in just a little bit here for our second half of coverage with Armstrong ahead 17-7 at the break.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show this evening as the Armstrong Riverhawks marching band appears to be ready for their halftime performance. Drum majors Riley Smith and Max Petrovsky, is your band ready? Armstrong Riverhawks marching band, the field is yours for performance. Now that we kick off our Sound to the South with American Barn Dance, feel free to sing along now to take the country roads to Tennessee as the band performs John Denver's Take Me Home, Country Roads, featuring our guard and soloist Xavier Shoot. This evening, the band closes one of the official state songs of Tennessee with the Tennessee Waltz, featuring soloists Joey Long and Haley McFarland.
Randy. He is involved in cheerleading and before football. She is also a member of BSU, Gateway High football, and a GMFCA cheerleading student coach. After high school, she plans to go to college to pursue a career as a pediatric nurse. She is escorted this evening by her parents, Nicole and Sam. Ohio State to study computer science or information technology. He is escorted this evening by his parents, Michael and Lisa. challenge to the 2025 Gateway Homecoming Queen, Nadia Tyree. Congratulations to everyone on the court.
Just a moment or so away from starting half number 2 here on GatewayGatorProductions.com. Big congratulations to the homecoming king and queen. The Gators certainly looking to come out feeling like kings after tonight, but they got work to do here in the second half, down 10.
Yeah, they have a little bit of work to do to try to cap off this wonderful homecoming night and week as it's been here at Gateway, but need to see the offense get going a little bit more. Mayson Mitchell looked good early on and then has kind of regressed a little bit as the game's gone along. Need to see him get a little bit more comfortable. And then defensively, again, we talked about the breakdowns for Gateway. Can't let those happen. And then Kaden and Bandy, need to see more of him off the edge as a pass rusher, the Bucknell commit. Obviously, he's a guy for Gateway they want to rely on defensively. Just need to get a little bit more pressure on Oliver, who's 8 for 15, over 200 yards, has thrown the ball pretty well when he has.
Feels like the offensive line has struggled as the game has gone on a little bit. Mayson Mitchell not quite having as much time as he did early in the contest. Certainly felt like defenders were getting home, including Johnson from that linebacking position. Might need some coverage adjustments. We'll see what both teams have done here. Anything else that stands out to you before we get this ball kicked off for the second half?
And as you just sort of mentioned, the protection up front, but a little bit of a world of difference on the 2 fourth downs. The fourth down touchdown play to Gowder where Mitchell held in the pocket, looked poised, composed, delivered a strike over the middle, and then another fourth and long opportunity. He gets brought down, a little bit of happy feet in the pocket, so just need to see him be more relaxed back there, trust his protection, trust his receivers, and get the ball out on time.
Last couple weeks, the Gators have come out on top in close contests. 2 weeks ago, they needed a furious stave off a furious comeback by Kiski area. Last week, they were able to come back late and surpass the Franklin Regional Panthers en route to a win. So a team that's no stranger to adversity, as we are just a few seconds from getting this ball kicked off and ready for half number 2 here on Gateway Gator Productions. Nathan Breisinger alongside myself, Vince Russo, tonight. Big shout out to all of our crew for bringing you all of the action thus far and throughout the fall here on GatewayGatorProductions.com. And a beautiful homecoming night here at Antimarino Stadium in Monroeville, Pennsylvania. As we had mentioned before we went to the break, the Riverhawks will get the ball first here with a 10-point lead. Jackson Michael Andrich able to send this one into the end zone for a touchback. So it'll be the 20-yard line where the Riverhawks will start this drive offensively.
And we talked about Jaydon Oliver, over 200 passing yards already in this game, 201 yards specifically, a passing touchdown, a rushing touchdown. Last week, the Gateway was able to hold Franklin Regional just 178 yards through the air, so Armstrong really bringing it through that aerial attack, getting a couple of breakdowns in that secondary, and then just a couple big plays to Olsen over the middle for the touchdown. And a couple big ones to Kaden Lewis, able to break a few to set up Armstrong in plus territory.
Oliver in the gun. Drop back, looked like he was going to pass, brings it down. The quarterback draw, going to get about a half a dozen yards on first down.
Oliver on the keeper. Stopped by
And just a little delayed draw here from Oliver.
Second down, 3.
Spreads out that defense a little bit, opens up that hole right up the middle for Oliver to pick up 7 yards.
A couple other scores around the conference. Woodland Hills up 13-3 on Latrobe. Kiski area up 7-0 on Franklin Regional. As a pitch here on the option play, only going to gain about a yard. is up to the stop there and fired up. Number 28 for the Gators, Taron Johnson.
I really like that option play that Armstrong has run, and it's worked a couple of times, but credit to the Gateway defense making a little bit of adjustments. We saw Wendell Hall get fooled a couple of times on the fake or the keep from Oliver, and this time, Gateway able to come up with that stop. Big third down here to open up this second half.
It is third down, 2 to go. Oliver dances in the pocket, running out of time, getting dragged down. And that's going to be a sack on the play. Monte Lemon getting into the backfield and cleaning it up and forcing the punt.
Oliver eyes downfield. Looks like he's going to throw there, but just good defense downfield from the Gator secondary allows for that pass rush finally to get home.
Agbazi was also in the vicinity there. Great pressure by the Gators. And as you said, Nathan, the coverage downfield forcing him to hold on to it. Low snap. Kick is off. It's a bit of a warbler. And that's going to die out at about the 32-yard line. That one came in a little too hot for S.J. Moorefield to claim off the bounce, so he wisely just sort of lets it lie. And that's a win for the Gators defense. They get the 3 and out. They get the offense on the field here just 2 minutes and 1 second into our third quarter with a chance to bring this back to a one-score game.
And just looking, though, on that specific punt there, do got to be careful if you're Moorefield, that bouncing punt. The last time I called a game, that Plum game, he touched the ball, led to a prime field position for the Mustangs that led to a touchdown and basically turned that game completely around. But Moorefield had that big interception in the first half in this game and looked to get him a little bit more involved again offensively here.
Mitchell, design quarterback keeper on the RPO, calls his own number. He picks up about a half a dozen on first down. And Nathan, that's a great point. Special teams errors early in the season were definitely an issue for the Gators. Pointedly, something that they have cleaned up considerably. And now that unit has been a plus more for the Gators than a negative throughout much of this season. As it's second and short, and handoff here. A little bit of wiggle room and a nice second effort. We'll get the ball just past the 40-yard line. And it looks like they're going to give Dan Sear enough forward progress that it'll be a fresh set of downs.
Looked like he might have been a little bit short there, but a lot of resemblance here from Gateway compared to Armstrong. Very similar looking starts to their drives with Mitchell going quarterback keeper. Gateway just trying to establish a little bit more of a ground game right now. Mitchell
again, not as much going here. He's able to get away from a few would-be tacklers and ultimately turns what looked like it was going to be a tackle for loss into about a 1-yard gain.
Yeah, Warren Johnson in there, first defender in there for the Riverhawks. Cannot wrap around with that left arm. Good push there from the right tackle for Gateway to at least allow Mitchell to get a yard there for the Gators.
Both of these teams 2-3 through the first half of the season. Both teams undefeated in conference play. The Riverhawks have only played one conference game in that win over Greater Latrobe last week as Dan Sear, a great run more often than not. He's had a ton of greenery in front of him and has made good usage of it. Other than that fumble earlier in the first half, Dan Sear putting on quite a show tonight.
Exactly, yeah. If you wipe away that fumble, I mean, Dan Sear's had a heck of a night. You know, that's about the fifth big run of about 10 or more yards for Dan Sear. And again, credit to that offensive line. Don Hall talked before that Plum game, just, you know, a little bit of inconsistency on the O-line, but seems like they found some continuity.
Dan Sear again gets the call, and he'll dance inside the 40-yard line of the Armstrong Riverhawks. They'll mark him out right at the 40, actually. So that's a gain of 5 on first down.
A little bit of a different look there from Dan Sear as he goes, bounces to the outside. A lot of his runs have been in between the guards. That one around the right end for a solid gain. Now sets up a manageable 2nd and 5.
They're just going to keep it on the ground. Dan Sear, a big hole, tried to spin, gets upended, but not before he gains about a dozen yards, and he gets down to the 28-yard line.
Yeah, and right now Gateway's trying to send a message that we can run the ball right down your throat, and they have been with Dancier. Good tackle there at the end by Xavier Williams, but Gateway really pushing the envelope here in the start of the third quarter.
Tristan Houston gesturing, thought they got the Riverhawks to jump there on first down. Now they'll take a moment, get the play in from the sidelines. And it'll be Houston. He cuts back inside and has a bit of a lane. We'll get down to about the 24-yard line. Gain of about 4 on first down.
Gateway just again getting a lot of some really good push up front here against this Armstrong front. Again, Riverhawks really only bringing 3 guys every time, that little 3-4 front, and really keeping Armstrong off balance, keeping their linebackers on their heels.
Talked about the Riverhawks 1-0 in conference play. The Gators 2-0 after wins over Kiski area and Franklin Regional. Now the little shuttle pass in front, going to be about a yard short of the first down, but you talk about offenses staying on schedule. You go from 2nd and 5 to 3rd and about a long 1. So they are certainly staying on schedule.
And again, just both of these teams taking pages out of each other's books. A little option look there from Mitchell, and then the shuffle pass up ahead to Carter.
Handoff is to Houston. Houston has the first down and more. Rumbling inside the 10-yard line. It'll be a goal-to-go situation for the Gators here about midway through the third quarter.
And I would just keep it to the ground here. Just keep pushing it forward, right up the gut. I mean, you cannot come up empty-handed here. This long, methodical drive on the ground.
Quickly to the ground again go the Gators. That time, another carry for Houston, who takes it inside the 5, down to about the 2-yard line. And the Gators going to go quick again here. Same play. And the Riverhawks able to catch up to this one. They'll bottle him up. Tristan Houston, that is, inside the 1-yard line.
Gateway all of a sudden pushing the tempo too here. Trying to keep Armstrong from making any sort of substitutions and just really trying to wear them down here. Now here you go on the 1.
3rd and goal. Gators looking for 6. Handoff, Houston, end zone, touchdown Gators.
Houston on the 1-yard touchdown run.
Gateway comes out of a halftime break, forces a 3-and-out, and then a drive predicated almost entirely on the ground. The Gators just drive the ball down the Riverhawks' throats, and Dancier did much of the legwork at the beginning of the drive, but Nathan, it was Tristan Houston playing cleanup at the end and getting the touchdown.
It's a good 1-2 punch there for Gateway too, but I mean, you can see right away in the second half the adjustments that Don Hall has made. Defensively, you get the stop, but then offensively, instead of really trying to push it through the air and maybe, not taking care of the ball as much, you just stick with it on the ground, and that's exactly what they did. And Dancier, as you said, doing the front half, and then Houston getting into the end zone.
So PAT by Jackson Michael Andrich up and good. Gators PAT team been solid this season, and so that brings the Gators total to 14, and they are back within striking distance, looking to get another stop here with a chance to get the ball back and reclaim the lead. We still got a lot of game left here, folks. 17 minutes and change left of game action as you take another look at Tristan Houston's dive into the end zone to get the Gators back within 3.
And for Armstrong, they can score very quickly. I mean, they can find the end zone just as quick as anybody in 5A, but I think Gateway's found that formula now of how they may want to approach the rest of this game. Mix in just a little bit of the pass to keep Armstrong back a little bit, but running the ball right through the guards with Dancier and Houston there worked to perfection.
Get return and a little reversal here. They'll get it ultimately into the hands The return man, Kaden Lewis. Gator stayed in their lanes, and they'll bottle that up right around the 26-yard line as you take a look at the reversal handoff from Theron Kubek to Lewis.
We talked about coming out of the halftime break and Bandy, looking for him to maybe make some sort of presence felt on the D-line, but he really hasn't been out there much for the defensive line. The Bucknell commit for Gateway. He's been out there on, I believe, left tackle for the Gators, but nothing showing on defense.
Quarterback run there, Oliver. That's how the Riverhawks started the last drive, and it's pretty much the exact same result. Gain of about 6. Bring up second and medium, and this is where the Riverhawks ran into trouble the last time. The Gators bottled them up on successive plays, second and third down, forced the punt, got the ball, saw what just happened, drove the length of the field for the touchdown. See if the Riverhawks move the ball again here on second down. And they do, after an initial sort of bounce into his own line. The talented halfback, Couknas, able to bounce that one outside and had a lot of greenery in front of him.
Couknas just keeping his feet moving here. Nothing there, then he bounces to the left side. Again, following some of that blocking, Houston able to come over and make that tackle. Don't want to get Couknas going either. We talked about how quick Armstrong can score through the air, but Couknas is the type of guy that can really get things going as well.
This one going nowhere. A slew of Gators in the backfield. Ready for that one. Roberson, Louis June, Sina Egbadzi in amongst others, getting hands on the tailback as you take another look at the replay. Finally cleaned up by Wendell Hall. Now it's the Riverhawks going fast here on 2nd and 10. Or at least they wanted to give that perception. Now they'll wait, get the play in from Frank Fabian and his staff on the sidelines. The only coach in Armstrong history. That time, great coverage by S.J. Moorefield. Didn't get in too early. Didn't get hands on the back of the receiver. Just able to get that right hand across, swipe that ball away.
Yeah, Moorefield able to come up, quick closing speed. Straight through the receiver for that pass breakup. So now Armstrong stuck here, 3rd and long, 3rd and 10, back in a situation, 3rd down. Gateway trying to come up with another big stop defensively.
Certainly turned the tide here. The Gators with all the momentum. The Riverhawks trying to get back into rhythm offensively. And this one going to be well overthrown. Receiver totally blanketed there. Great coverage by Ian Woods for the Gators.
Yeah, Ian Woods in stride, but Gateway brings the pressure there. Brings about 5. So Oliver knowing that he may have one-on-one down the sidelines. But yeah, Ian Woods, fantastic coverage there for the senior.
Now it's S.J. Moorefield back with his heels about the 28-yard line. Oliver takes a few steps to the right, lets the punt go. This one takes a high bounce, and again, Moorefield going to get that Peter call in. Just advise everyone get out of the area. Down at about the 19-yard line, which will make for a long field for the Gators, but that was no issue the last time out as they drove the length of the field totally, just about totally on the ground, other than a Casey Carter sort of pitch pass that just kind of felt like a pseudo run in itself, that little shuffle pass forward. So now the Gators will go back to work with 3:10 left in the 3rd quarter and a chance to reclaim the lead.
And getting this running game established is critical for Mayson Mitchell as well. We talked about just the youth and some of the inexperience he's dealt with over the first couple of weeks, but really settling last week. And now you know that maybe you don't have to force it so much through the air and you can rely on the run, as we said. Finding this formula a little bit as they go past here on 1st down.
Across the middle, man open. It's Moorefield at the 40 in a foot race. Cuts back inside. 25, 20, 15, 10, 5, gone. One play drive, and Moorefield going to go 80-plus yards for the score.
What a strike there from Gateway. As we're talking about it, run, all last drive, and this time, little play fake, and there's Moorefield. One-on-one coverage, gets inside leverage, great reception, and then how about the yards after the catch? I mean, Moorefield, man, he might be one of the best to do it in the WPIAL, just getting yards after the catch this year.
Snap, hold, kick. Up and good. And the Gators go back in front, 21-17. And my goodness, take another look.
And Moorefield just a little fake to the outside, freezes that safety, and then how about this work right here? A couple of defenders trying to strike that ball out of Moorefield's hands. And also lastly coming in there, Oliver Jones trying to get that ball out too there at the end.
For Quinton Olsen, it's certainly a decision to try and strip there and not go for the tackle. You're not in a super advantageous position to get a hand on that ball. And he sort of flubbed on the tackle attempt, which opened up the floodgates for Moorefield even more so than they already were. We'll see him get a well-deserved rest. Moorefield hanging on the bench, getting some water right next to his quarterback. As the Gators go back in front. Second passing touchdown for Mitchell. Again, they're going to go with the reverse here on the sideline. And again, the Gators well up to the task as the Riverhawks, again, going to have a long field here. Weren't able to get that past the 20.
And how about just the return from Moorefield overall? I mean, we talked about just a couple of months ago, tore his Achilles in a 7-on-7 action back in February, had surgery in March, and now he's back out here on the field. Came back in that Plum game, and since then, just how about the stat line he put up, at least heading into this game? 23 receptions for 421 yards and 4 touchdowns, and he's just continued to add to that tonight.
Riverhawks will start this drive at their own 18. Reeling after giving up 14 points here in the last 10 minutes to the Gators. And you can see the change in body language between the two teams and how fired up this Gator squad was. We talked about in that second quarter, it was Armstrong sort of initiating contact and looking the part of a fully confident unit. That time Wendell Hall gets his hands on that one.
Yeah, Armstrong just trying to set up that screen, allows for a couple of defenders to have a free lane in there, Wendell Hall. But yeah, I mean, you could just tell the body language, everything right now for Armstrong's a little bit
shot
back.
Over the top, had an open receiver, and now a flag comes in. We'll see. This very likely a pass interference call. That will be a first down for Armstrong. They get bailed out with the penalty call. So take a look at the top of your screen here. I
didn't get a good look there.
There's nothing there.
Yeah.
I'm going to be real frank. Dan Sear got hosed a little on that one.
Yeah, the ref's standing right there, so obviously, I mean, we're way up here perched high, but didn't seem like much.
Loss of 1 on first down. The Gators recenter and stop Couknas in the backfield as that clock continues to wind here in the third quarter. Four receivers set for Jaydon Oliver and the Riverhawks. Going to take a shot out toward the sidelines. A big hit there to hem the Riverhawks in and to avoid yards after the catch. A really nice play by Taron Johnson will force a third down here for the Riverhawks.
Yeah, just a tight window, too, for Oliver to get that long throw across the field, too. But now here you go, 3rd and short again for the Riverhawks.
3 receivers to the left of Oliver. 1 sidecar running back. They're going to run it here. And they're going to get the first down and more. Still on his feet. Dragging bodies up past midfield is Oliver. As the Riverhawks get into Gators territory, if only by a yard, off of this productive run by the quarterback.
And again, just a smart play call there from Armstrong, moving the pocket out to the right side and just giving Oliver a couple of options there to toss it or keep it, and getting away from that pass rush and that front seven of, especially that front four from Gateway.
Theron Kupek was not set. So Jaydon Oliver snapping the ball before his receivers were fully set. Costs them 5 yards after the big run by the quarterback. And they'll push the Riverhawks back into their own territory. Two undefeated teams in the Big East. Trying to keep pace with Woodland Hills, also undefeated in conference play, leading Greater Latrobe at the halftime break, 13-3 in that one. At last check, Kiski up on Franklin Regional by a touchdown. Franklin Regional still looking for their first win on the season after an 8-4 season and a playoff win over North Hills last year. It is a full-on rebuild as the Gators have an injured lineman on the turf.
Injury timeout.
Looks like that might be Monte Lemon, 6 foot, 240 pound senior defensive lineman. Training staff will tend to him. And Lemon's up on his feet. As our crew leader Adam Gusky would like to say, a little hitch in his giddy up as he slowly makes his way, but the positive news is he doesn't need any assistance, so hopefully just a cramp or a bit of a twist or sprain, and hopefully we'll see Lemon again, if not tonight, ready for next week.
Yeah, never want to see that. And as we talked a little bit ago, Gateway having a couple of guys that were banged up on the lines earlier this season, getting some guys back healthy, but we talked about Jackson Smith not out there tonight. Jaden Stammer also a key part of the secondary receiver core, not dressed. So a couple of key Gateway guys out for this game, but the Gators, it's not slowing them at all.
So it'll be 2nd and 9 back at the 49-yard line. Riverhawks back in Gators territory. It'll be a QB draw. They've got blockers, and it's going to be a nice game. Set up 3rd and very manageable. Call it about 3.5. As we're just inside the 45-yard line, down to about the 44.
Seeing a couple of design play calls for Oliver to take off, but got to be a little bit careful there, exposing that ball just a little bit. Don't want that to get punched out, because that's how Gateway crawled back in last week against Franklin Regional. A couple of turnovers allowed him to get back in that one. Trailed 21-13 at the quarter break, at the 3rd quarter break, but now this one up by 4.
We saw them strip the ball earlier in this game, weren't able to get on top of it. Subsequently picked Oliver off the very next play, but Nathan, you're spot on. This is a Gators defense that is trained and they excel at swiping at that football. And it only takes 1 or 2 successful ones to completely change the complexion of the game. Both teams with a turnover in this one. Julian Dancier fumble in the first half. Then right before the halftime break, an interception. S.J. Moorefield, that man right there, just gave the Gators the lead. Earlier in this 3rd quarter, he has an interception to his name as well. Look at Carlos Diggs on that play. Getting downfield, helping out with blocking, making sure his guy gets to the end zone. Those are the last 2 touchdowns that took this from a 17-7 halftime score to 21-17 where we sit now. The Gators looking to get off the field here in what's 3rd and 4. Oliver under pressure, able to get loose, trying to get to the sidelines, and oh my goodness, a beautiful open field tackle by Ian Woods is going to bring up 4th down, and decision time now for Frank Fabian at the 49-yard line.
Ian Woods really coming along in this back half of this game. As you mentioned, Vince, just an excellent tackle here, lowering that shoulder. But Louis June there bringing the pressure initially, and a big stop to get off the field for this Gators defense.
Credit to Don Hall and his coaching staff. That defensive unit is firing off the ball here in this second half and making their presence known, forcing yet another punt. High snap, Oliver gets it off, and he did not get much of that one.
Got to be careful here for Gateway.
And it'll be touched
And the punt is down by
at the 36-yard line. Excuse me, that one
First down for the
tapped
Gators.
down by Parker Thomas, the sophomore lineman. But it'll be good field position for the Gators here with all the momentum on their side and a chance they can work some clock and put some points on the board to get themselves that much closer to staying unblemished in conference play.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, though, where they go with this drive, because they were so successful running that ball on the first drive to start this half, and then boom, they go play action. But I mean, that's how it works. You open up, you know, the passing game with that dominant run approach in that first drive.
Riverhawks now with 4 down linemen defensively after getting carved up. They'll go back to Moorefield, and he puts on a few nifty moves. He's got yards after the catch. He needed 10, he got about 15, and that's going to take the Gators into Riverhawks territory. More importantly, going to give them a fresh set of downs.
Moorefield just so unbelievable. His ability to stay on his feet, break tacklers, and it reminds you of another Big East receiver in Woodland Hills, Scoop Smith, who's, you know, arguably one of the best at doing that, and just big-time plays.
Dan Sear dragging guys along, including the aforementioned Parker Thomas. Productive run to stay on schedule. They'll get 5 on first down. Ball now at the 44. Ground game continues. Big hole. Here goes Dan Sear. It's a foot race. 20, 15, and down close to the 10-yard line. Gators will be able to pick up another first down without scoring here, but they got it about the 13-yard line. It looks like they're going to mark them out. Take another look at a really impressive run by Dan Sear.
And just that outside zone, taking that handoff and going out to that left side of the line. And again, we've just continue to talk about the play in the trenches from Gateway, both defensively and now offensively, just helping this ground game move along.
Linebackers showing blitz for the moment. They will bring pressure. Dan Sear gets the call again, and he is wrapped up quickly by the big fella, Cameron Pambino, 6'3", 315 pounds. And you see here,
11.
That's the proverbial immovable object.
And Armstrong really now just trying to sell out of the run now. You see it obviously bringing up the 4 down linemen going away from their 3-4 look. But that obviously leaves you a little susceptible to the ball through the air, especially over the middle.
Loss of 1 for Dan Sear. Quick throw outside. And here goes Moorefield inside the 5, down to the 4-yard line. My goodness, just so slippery out there on the edge. And the Gators not overthinking it, just getting into the hands of their playmakers. And tonight, it's been Dan Sear and Moorefield carrying the torch for the Gators.
Yeah, they're keeping it simple, too, and not trying to force anything, trying to keep it away from turning the ball over, which is huge. And also, you're taking a lot of time off the clock here midway through this fourth quarter.
8.5 left in the game. Gators looking to make this a 2-score game. It's Mitchell. He tucks, carries, pinballs off a few defenders, and lands in the end zone for the touchdown.
Mitchell on the play for the touchdown.
Mitchell had the entire Armstrong defense fooled there on the play fake. The keeper for Mitchell after you feed Dan Sear over the last 3 drives, just continuously. And now leaves in for pretty much a walk-in touchdown for Mitchell. Took a shot there at the end, but you'll take that obviously to make the play, cross the plane for the Gator touchdown.
Gators Missing one Wendell Hall from the equation for the PAT team. Hall now set. Jackson Michael Andrich on to try and make this an 11-point game. Snap, hold, and kick, all good. PAT up and through. And so the Gators now, after giving up 17 unanswered points to the Armstrong Riverhawks in the second quarter, now scored 21 unanswered in the third and fourth when it matters the most. They've got themselves a little breathing room here with 8:23 left in the game.
And Gateway, as this game has gone along, continues to get better and better. And there's the look again for Mitchell. He took that shot right at the end, as we mentioned, from Zablocki, but nonetheless finds the end zone. And credit to whatever Don Hall said in that locker room at halftime, because that was a tight game, as you mentioned, giving up 17 unanswered to Armstrong. You can maybe get a little bit of momentum off the interception with Moorefield, obviously really nothing doing out of that possession, but you come out and you just dominate pretty much this entire second half up to this point.
Still a long way to go in this fourth quarter, but the Gators have come out and set the tone in this second half. You're exactly right, Nathan, and have themselves up 11, looking to go 3-0 in the Big East. This was about the time last season where things started to sputter for the Gators. They didn't beat the Riverhawks, as they have to be careful there. For a moment, it looked like the seas were going to part for Theron Kupek, who gets it up past the 30, not quite to the 35-yard line. They'll mark him down at the 33. So a little bit better field position for Armstrong, which has had some long fields to work with here in this second half.
Yeah, almost breaking through there for Armstrong. That would have been a heck of a response from the Riverhawks. But you mentioned last year, Gateway taking this one at Armstrong, but just the way things unfolded for Gateway, you lose 3 games by less than 2 points. Franklin Regional, 36-34 loss. Woody High, 1-point game there, and then Latrobe, same thing, 28-27. So Gateway finding themselves in better positions in these tight games than they were a year ago.
Stop by 28.
Costa Couknas getting the ball out of the backfield, this time on a quick pitch and catch, and he's able to gain about 7 yards. Gators now, looks like Carlos Diggs down on the far sidelines, getting tended to. He's up on his feet, getting a little bit of help. Now walking off under his own power. The Gators similarly, another player down around that same part of the field. Similar infliction, a leg injury, Monte Lemon. Diggs looks like he'll be all right as he hobbles his way over to the sidelines. Already a Gator secondary down. One Jaden Stammer talked about. Trying to do enough to hang on here. As a big run, and this one's going to be a touchdown for the Riverhawks. Through the heart of the defense is Couknas, and they have bottled him up pretty well all night, Nathan, but that time he breaks loose. And that one is going to be a 60-yard touchdown run for the talented running back.
If there was a time for Couknas to break one off, it was then right there for Armstrong. A huge, huge response in this ball game with 7:45 to go. And we talked about Gateway getting massive holes in their running game, and there was one right there for the Riverhawks.
Armstrong needed just 38 seconds to strike back after the Gators took an 11-point lead off the Mayson Mitchell rushing touchdown. Got some sort of hold up here.
Looking to maybe go for the 2-point conversion, try to bring this in within a field goal game.
Riverhawks running out of time. The play clock down to 5 seconds. And so they will have to burn a timeout at the 7:45 mark of the fourth quarter, something you absolutely don't want to do in a one-possession game, is have one less timeout at your disposal. But important for Coach Fabian and company to try to go for 2 here to make this a field goal game as we take another look at Couknas. Just getting through the defense, untouched, 60 yards to pay dirt.
For Couknas, his 6th touchdown of the year, and just a gaping hole right up the middle of that defense too.
I stand corrected. Someone got a paw on him along the line, and then Dancier might have got a quick tug of that jersey, but there was no real threat at bringing down the ball carrier. And he goes the distance, and now 2-point try here for the Riverhawks. First 2-point try we've seen tonight from either team, trying to make this a 3-point game late in the 4th quarter. Rolling out, that one's batted down. Wendell Hall again, but a flag in the secondary. More often than not, those are on the defense. See what that looks like here, and if Armstrong will get another opportunity here. Waiting for the call.
Retry on the 2-point conversion.
So we saw the official kind of give the hand signal. This was going to be a retry.
It looked like maybe a hold on what that flag was.
Ball still
in the
on
end zone.
the 2. So very likely. We didn't get a call on that one, surprising. Second week in a row we've had a call made without the officials acknowledging the crowd at all. Likely offsetting penalties results in a retry, and the Gators, second time around, same result. They get the stop, and it remains a 5-point game. Gators out in front. That makes a big difference now. Even if the Gators aren't able to make anything happen on this drive, Armstrong still needs a touchdown to go ahead. A field goal will not be enough to tie this game.
Just a whole lot of miscommunication, it seemed like. Oliver not on the same page as his receivers. Rolling right, he had a couple guys there, but just a poor throw from Oliver. And I think the biggest takeaway from that is Armstrong burns that timeout. If you're going to burn a timeout in that situation, you've got to at least come up with those points. And then you get 2 opportunities to do so, and they come up empty-handed both times.
We'll see how that influences momentum coming down the stretch here. The Gators give up the long touchdown. They stop the 2-point. They're still up 5, and they have an offense that has been cooking here in the second half. 2 straight touchdowns. 3 total on the half. Julian Dancier has done a ton of work out of the backfield, but it was Tristan Houston scoring the short touchdown on the ground for a long pass play, 80-plus yards to S.J. Moorefield, and then finally Mayson Mitchell coming up with one. This one a short kick to the up man. It's going to be Houston. Gets away from one. Able to get up over the 35, still going to about the 36-yard line. And so the Gators get a decent return from Houston. We'll have about the same field position they did the last time as they marched down and scored yet another touchdown, looking for a similar result this time.
Well, we saw Gateway come up with a couple of defensive stops to open up this second half. Now it's Armstrong's turn to try to come up with something here defensively and get the ball back in Oliver's hands and the Riverhawks offense. This game still a long ways to go with 7:38 on the clock. Anything can happen here in this very tightly contested Big East section game.
Both teams trying to stay undefeated. Armstrong 1-0, Gateway 2-0. It'll be a screen pass. Gators have had some real success just getting it out into the flats to their receivers. That time, still a positive result, but a gain of only about 3.
You see Armstrong go back to that 3-4 look and then bursting through there. Number 24, Warren Johnson for the Riverhawks, the sophomore, able to get up there, make the tackle. And that'll be key for Armstrong. Got to come up with these tackles, especially these screens and the run play here.
Mitchell going to keep it himself, and he will get dropped for a loss. Gain loss of about 1. He was able to fall forward to limit the damage. But as you take another look, not a whole lot going there. Good job staying at home. Number 15, Caleb Kinsey.
Kinsey, Johnson, and a couple other defenders just in that area. Not a whole lot of room there for Mitchell. Now you're in a precarious spot here, 3rd and 8.
Gators going to let the clock roll here at least a little bit. 10 on the play clock. They'll snap it, get it to Moorefield quickly. Moorefield able to make one man miss, but he can't bail them out on this 3rd down. He's going to get dropped behind the line. It's going to bring up 4th down, about a dozen, and in all likelihood, they're going to have to punt this ball away.
Excellent play by Oliver Jones, patient and then attacking Moorefield there. Lengthy Jones, 6'3", able to get his long arms to wrap up Moorefield for another loss. And there's that stop that Armstrong needed. And that explosive offense, or what could be, gets the ball back just moments after that big touchdown run from Couknas.
Michael Andrich able to get a sailing punt off. It'll be fielded at about the 33-yard line. Return man for the Riverhawks gets a few up to about the 37-yard line. That is the talented Quinton Olsen, who, other than a couple big catches in the second quarter, including a 74-yarder, has by his standards had a relatively quiet night.
I mean, he's made the most of his touches, but yeah, I mean, really only maybe 4 targets in the game for about 2 or 3 receptions.
Sorry, Nathan. I mean, you're talking about a guy who you talked about earlier. With great job pulling the stats. 41 catches in 5 games. I mean, this is a guy that they really go to and makes this offense hum, and he has not gotten the same level of opportunities tonight. Gators trying to take him away. First down handoff again, a big hole. This time it's the underclassman Warren Johnson taking that one and gaining about 7-8 yards.
And mixing it up a little bit there, giving Warren Johnson the rep as Couknas now comes back on the field, but it's a win on first down for the Riverhawks with an 8-yard gain.
The Gators had to make 2 defensive stops against Kiski area a couple weeks ago here on this field to cement a 34-31 win, and that's a big help right there as a number of Gators get in and blow that one up. Wendell Hall in on the play, Roberson Louis June in on the play, and number 52 Julius Clark in on the play.
And just Gateway in there quickly with that defensive front with the push. Donovan Hutchins on the O-line getting beat for Armstrong.
Brings up 3rd and 3. Oliver in the gun, passing play. Plenty of time. Open receiver, and pinballing off a couple defenders, falling inside the Gators' 40-yard line is Tyree Kupek. He'll move the chains for the Riverhawks.
Jaydon Oliver, the 3rd-year starter too for Armstrong, just standing in that pocket, making a couple of steps, climbing up a little bit, and then delivering a strike to Kupek for a huge first down to keep this drive alive.
Riverhawks are driving, looking for the go-ahead score. The clock now winding to 4 minutes, 10 seconds. 10 left on the play clock. Oliver, pressured, gonna roll out of the pocket, has running room. He's close to first down yardage as he falls inside the 30-yard line, down close to the 29 of the Gators.
Seemed like maybe a QB draw there, but really focusing on that short side of the field for Oliver. Gets a tough run there for the first down, and you need your quarterback to make big plays in order to come from behind wins, and Oliver is doing that right now on this drive.
Taiwan Napier made the tackle to prevent the first down. Came up a little limp after, but is able to walk to the sidelines without any assistance whatsoever. A good sign for the senior. So 2nd and short, clock stops at 3:53 in the 4th quarter. Both teams with So much to play for. Both teams 2 and 3, trying to get back to 500, but far more important, trying to take that next step in the Big East Conference. Armstrong 1-0 after beating Latrobe. Gateway 2-0 after a pair of wins the last few weeks. Oliver going to get the first down yardage and more. 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown. Armstrong back in front with 3:31 to go. As the upperclassman, the third-year starter, Oliver, calls his own number, goes the distance, a 31-yard quarterback keeper for the touchdown.
What an excellent run there from Oliver, too. Staying on his feet, keeping it alive. Pulls that ball out. Great decision by Oliver on the read, and then just couldn't wrap him up. Nazir Diggs, again, had 2 shots at maybe trying to bring him down, and you at least bring him down, gives you a chance defensively to come up with a stop, but Oliver into the end zone for a critical touchdown for the Riverhawks.
If you're Diggs, you got to get the arms out. You can't just throw a shoulder. Oliver is 6'1", 185, been running downhill all night long. So poor tackling, to say the least, dooms the Gators on that drive. Now they're going to need to come up with a big stop here to avoid this becoming a 3-point game, and they do. That one blown up in the backfield, and having just a monster second half is Taron Johnson. He has been a real spark plug for this Gators defense, and he comes up with a big play there.
Yeah, that thing blown up immediately from Johnson, right through an open gap. Oliver going under center. Haven't seen that a ton from the Riverhawks. Keeps it a 1-point game.
Gators have trotted Michael Andrich out. Just a field goal a few weeks ago from the right hash here. So you don't necessarily need a touchdown, but you'd feel a whole lot more comfortable than relying on the kicking game. So take another look at the touchdown run.
For Armstrong, you look back at this game, early on it was the aerial attack that had gotten going, and now 2 massive touchdown runs there. Oliver getting in the end zone, then Costa Couknas, who, as you mentioned, Vince, felt like he was bottled up for a majority of this game and finally broke the big one in such a timely manner, and then there's Oliver putting Armstrong in front.
Pearson kicks this one off. Gators bobble it inside their own 5. It's Diggs. And Diggs able to make one man miss, trying to at least get up toward the 20. He gets over the 15. It's going to be a long field to go for the Gators here with 3:23 left in the game.
That's happened a couple of times tonight for Gateway, dropping some of those kicks, and then you turn around and all of a sudden Armstrong's right there in front of you. Have very little room, very little time, and only able to get it out to, about the 16-yard line. So yeah, a long way to go for Gateway. And you're putting it back on the shoulders of your freshman Mayson Mitchell at quarterback. He's got to be careful. He's got to make the right reads, decisions here, and we'll see how much they incorporate the ground game. Still a lot of time to go, 3:23. And all 3 timeouts.
Gators will go to the ground here on the first play. Not a lot going as that one is bottled up at the line of scrimmage. Dan Sear, no room to run.
Yeah, Dan Sear's been pretty good at just running downhill, but this time a little hesitant and then ran right into read the blocking a little off on that one. Right into the backside of a couple of his linemen.
Gators with a freshman quarterback making his 3rd career start. Led the WPIAL in passing yards last week, 315 through the air. Has not had the same opportunities tonight, but still in a position here. Gonna take a shot deep, and that one off the mark, looking for Moorefield, who is blanketed by a combination of Quinton Olsen and Xavier Williams. It looks like the Riverhawks sure as heck don't want to let number 3 beat them tonight.
And if that ball's there, I mean, Moorefield maybe has a step, but obviously just not enough arm strength there from Mitchell. And maybe if you're Moorefield, try to make a smart decision, try to cut towards the middle of the field and draw something there with those two defenders sort of keeping you from getting back inside. Maybe try to get a pass interference or something. But that ball pretty much uncatchable for the most part.
Gators, third down. Snap almost catches Mitchell off guard. Has a man. Here goes Moorefield up over the 30, up over the 40, and down at about the 44-yard line. And so on 3rd and 10, a big gain of about 27 yards gets the Gators back in business. Clock running. They still have 2:25 to play.
And I thought maybe that would be the call on 2nd down that they might want to go to instead of taking a deep shot. And Moorefield just right across the zone defense from Armstrong. A little chip block there, but gets free here. No one follows him. Right through the couple of zones and gets that catch, and another yard after catch play.
They'll set up the screen. Dancier, plenty of running room. A block on the outside. 40, 30. Flag comes in as he dances out of bounds at about the 10-yard line, and that is going to be a hold. Gators will still gain yardage on this as that hold happened well down the field, but certainly it's going to take a bite out of that long run after the catch by Julian Dancier.
Yeah, Gowder, you can see it downfield, just holding on to that block a little too long.
So we'll see exactly where they spot the ball after Tyree Gowder up there at the top of your screen gets called for the hold. Let's take another look. That's a good call. Got to let go just a second or two earlier there if you're Gowder. As the Gators go from what would have been 1st and 10 around the 10-yard line to now the ball at Armstrong's 45. Still plenty of time. The Gators have all 3 timeouts. Don Hall done a good job keeping those in the back pocket. Players have executed at a high enough level that they've been able to keep those timeouts tucked away. Mitchell going to be wrapped up and sacked back at midfield. Loss of 5, 2nd down.
Yeah, just Mitchell back there just a little too long, and the pass rush gets home off the end. Parker Thomas involved in there, and along with Donovan Hutchins. And you know, it feels like the short game has been working. These quick passes, the run game. Every time, the past couple of times that they try to go deep, it's not been open. And Mitchell has been in the pocket just too long in that time. Armstrong able to get home.
This clock is continuing to run. Now 1:15 left. The play clock down to 4. Gators not with a ton of urgency, and Moorefield going to get a whole lot of nothing, maybe 2 yards on 2nd down, and the Gators lost the ball, and Armstrong came up with it. Fighting for extra yardage. Let's take another look. They get it into Moorefield's hands. And right there, the ball spills out. The Riverhawks recover. The Gators do have all 3 timeouts left, but even if they get the ball back, they are not going to have a whole lot of time to work with. So it doesn't necessarily spell the end of this game, but boy, Armstrong with the timely takeaway, and they are very close to moving to 2-0 in the Big East.
And Brody Baranti able to just get in there, dislodge that ball on Moorefield. Two pretty costly fumbles, at least at this point. Dancier, that tough one earlier in the game, and then this one, Moorefield. See how this one winds up.
Productive run on 1st down. Oliver calls his own number. They'll mark it at the 48-yard line of the Gators. 6-yard gain, and the Gators use their first timeout. Fabian has guided this Armstrong program to a 58-50 record. So while we have a moment, let's take a look at what's up ahead for GatewayGatorProductions.com. We got some boys soccer next Thursday against Norwin, and then we'll be on the road in Harrison City, a 7:30 kickoff for the Battle of the Bell. The Gators, depending on the result of this one, going to try to either bounce back or keep the good times rolling. That's girls and boys soccer. The following week before a matchup here at Antimarino Stadium against the aforementioned Scoop Smith and the Woodland Hills Wolverines. And the Gators, Greater Latrobe after that. That will conclude their conference slate at that point. They'll end the season with an out-of-conference matchup against the Hempfield Spartans in 6A. First down puts this game on ice for the Riverhawks. Can they get there? Wendell Hall trying to rip that ball loose. He'll have to settle for a tackle and no gain. Gators will spend another timeout here with 55 seconds left. Defense is doing what they have to do to try and give this offense a chance. This is going to be your ball game coming up here on third down.
Yeah, other than about 3 or 4 plays, that front 7 from Gateway's played pretty darn well throughout a majority of this game. I mean, but you just can't allow those big explosive runs as we saw from the Oliver touchdown and the Couknas touchdown as well in this second half. And I mean, that's just what's spelled this deficit, this 1-point deficit. We've talked about it a handful of times, Gateway in these close games, and here they are again. And can they come up with a stop and get this ball back?
Gators came out on the right side of 2 very close games the last few weeks. 34-31 win over Kiski area, in which the defense made 2 critical stops, including a turnover on downs to end the game. And then last week against Franklin Regional, coming back from a double-digit deficit to win that game 33-28. Now, third down for the Riverhawks. Oliver keeps it. Oliver is dropped. No gain. Big time play by Michael Burrows. Looks like he's feeling it a little after that one. Gators will take their final timeout with 51 seconds left.
Just another excellent stop there from Gateway. Burrows getting involved, and good push though, originally off the snap from the Gators D-line. Really pushed that, at least the left side of the Armstrong line back. It looked like Oliver had a crease there for a second, but Burrows quickly through and in there with the stop. 4th and 4. Be interesting. I mean, if you really wanted to end things here, if you're Armstrong, go for it. But I think this, obviously, you send this one away, try to pin Gateway and make them go the length of the field.
Couldn't agree more. Regardless of how talented this Gators offense is, it's still going to be 45 to 50 seconds, probably about 40 to 45 seconds to try and go the length of the field. Oh, they're going to keep this offense out there and try to win it here. If the Gators can get a stop, they'll have great field position. If the Armstrong Riverhawks get the first down here, would be game, although they might be just trying to
draw
get them
off sides, maybe even a pooch kick at that too from Oliver.
9 seconds on the play clock. Gators doing a good job staying at home, and now it is evident that Frank Fabian had timeouts in the back pocket. Smart coaching play. Put your offense out there. Never know what might happen, but the Gators do a really good job of staying at home, not falling for the hard counts. And so they will, in all likelihood, see the punt team come out for the Riverhawks. The Gators will have one last gasp here. Worth noting, don't need 6. They just need to be able to get into field goal range to give themselves a shot in this 1-point game.
And if you're Gateway, if you're Don Hall and the offensive staff, you don't necessarily have to push it too far downfield either. Some of that quick stuff that has been working, go to that for a couple of plays here, get the ball moving, and then if you need to, let Mitchell unleash a couple passes. But we've seen also the arm strength just not there enough.
Offense back out on the field for Frank Fabian and the Armstrong Riverhawks. And it will be a pooch punt. The Gators had no one home there, and this one goes into the end zone for a touchback. Gators catch a break. That was close to being downed at the 1. Kaden Lewis's momentum took him into the end zone, and the Gators catch a break.
Yeah, if he tries to swat this maybe back or something here, could have gotten that ball at the 1-yard line. But
well, for Mayson Mitchell and the Gators offense, these are the situations you draw up playing in the backyard as a kid, dreaming about having the ball late in the fourth quarter with a chance to drive your team downfield for the win. 44 seconds on the clock for the Gators. A stable of star players on offense and an opportunity to try and stay unblemished in conference play. Here we go, folks. Plenty of time for Mitchell, and that one thrown behind Moorefield.
That's the type of call that you need there, just something quick. You got Moorefield, who's just so dangerous after the catch, as we've constantly talked about tonight. But Mitchell, I mean, late game pressure, just a little off the mark here.
I will say the accuracy has maybe taken a small step back tonight for Mitchell. Has still done a very good job taking care of the ball and giving the Gators opportunities to win this game, but that's a ball you need on the money there, and he'll have another chance at it here on 2nd and 10. And that time, put it where Moorefield could get it, and he just wasn't able to make that grab. By no means an easy catch, but one that you would hope the star receiver comes down with, and just like that, it's 3rd and 10 with 35 seconds to go.
Yeah, for Moorefield, that's something you don't see very often, dropping a pass like that, where you get your hands on it. Yeah, it's maybe a tough one to bring in, but you're untouched there, not really a defender in sight for a couple of yards.
3rd down. Gators need something big here. Moorefield not going to get out of bounds, and he's not going to get the first. Clock continues to run. 23 seconds left. It's going to be 4th down. And the Gators quickly running out of time here. 16 ticks left. They'll get set with 12 seconds. Snapped with 11. Mitchell sacked. Ball game. Armstrong is going to win the football game as the Gators simply ran out of time to get themselves set to get the right play drawn up. And now with 1.5 seconds left, all Oliver and company need to do, Jaydon Oliver will come out and kneel this one down, and Armstrong has stunned the Gateway Gators, scoring the game's final 12 points. They will win a 1-point game. Take one more look here. This was the 3rd down play. Moorefield tried to get that 1st down, didn't get out of bounds. The Gators had to rush to the line to try and run a 4th down play. It just wasn't meant to be. Gators will drop to 2-4 on the season. 2-1 now in Big East play. Armstrong going to move to 2-0 in the Big East. After going 2-8 last year, and the program's first losing season, the Riverhawks sitting at 2-0. A team to pay attention to as we continue to move forward. Taking a step back, Nathan, a lot happened there in the final few minutes. Take us through what you saw, good, bad, and ugly.
Yeah, I mean, Armstrong, obviously those 2 big runs there, late in the 3rd quarter and the 4th quarter to reach the end zone, and then Gateway just didn't have enough there. You're putting so much on the shoulders of Mayson Mitchell, and just some of the plays didn't connect. Obviously, we see a couple of plays there to Moorefield, a couple of errant throws, and that really, I think it comes down to you had some really good games from Mitchell the last 2 weeks, and just as a young quarterback, sometimes that's going to happen, and just not enough out of Gateway tonight.
On the other side, Armstrong sticks with it, and it's the big play down the stretch. Just enough key passing plays, able to get runs at the right time for Armstrong. What kind of win is this as they look forward to the rest of their Big East schedule?
This is a massive one, especially coming into the only team that was 2-0 at this point in Big East play. And last year you lost to them. This is their first win against Gateway since 2016. Now there has been a nice span of a break there between these two programs meeting, but it's a big one. Last year you go 0-5 in conference play, and now you're off to a 2-0 start, and you're talking, you're up there with Gateway still, you're up there with Woodland Hills, and you're competing now in this conference.
The Gators, like we said, dropped to 2-4 on the season, 2-1 in conference play. They'll look to bounce back. A physical rivalry game next Friday night in Harrison City against Penn Trafford. We will have that call here on GatewayGatorProductions.com. Armstrong moves to 2-0, evens their record at 3-3. They've got all the momentum heading into another conference showdown next week. Nate, as we turn the page from this week and start looking forward to next week, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, Mayson Mitchell, obviously, he's still young, he's still growing. There's a lot of promise for this Gateway offense, and we saw it at times. Moorefield's a heck of a player, so dangerous after he catches the ball, but Armstrong, they're just as explosive, and that's what we saw tonight. They were able to come up with the necessary stops and come up with those huge plays to win.
For a third straight week, the Gators play a one-score game. This time they come up a point short against the Armstrong Riverhawks. 29-28, your final score. For our entire talented crew, led by Adam Gusky, Lee Schaefer III, Lee Schaefer Jr., Bree Gusky, Dale Breakall, and for my partner, Nate Breisinger, I'm Vince Russo. Thank you all so much for tuning in tonight. We'll have next Friday's action at Harrison City against Penn Trafford, the Battle of the Bell. That's a kickoff at 7:30 instead of 7. But catch all the action here on GatewayGatorProductions.com. One more time, your final score tonight, Armstrong 29, Gateway 28. Thank you for tuning in. Have a safe and enjoyable Friday night and rest of your weekend. This has been a GatewayGatorProductions.com broadcast. Have a good night, everyone.